You know, in our society today, the whole idea of using what are called tracks and stems during the time of musical worship has just become a given. And I'm not trying to talk you into or out of using those. I just want to give you a different perspective because it has so been so normalized in our society. And a while back, I was talking to my friend Curt Coffield. And Curt is an amazing musician. He is, I'm sure, one of the best musicians that we're going to have in these videos. He's just a really, really super talented guy. I first met Curt at a large church where he was the worship leader in Michigan. The last time I was there, when Curt was there, their Sunday morning attendance was like 7,000 people. He left there to become the worship leader at Willow Creek Church in Chicago. He led worship for many of the large Promise Keeper gatherings years ago. He's accustomed to dealing with thousands of people in large venues, and he's worked with some of the finest musicians, so he knows what he's talking about from a musical perspective. And so as we talked, and again, I didn't really ask him questions about this, he just started talking about it. And so I want to give him some time to just kind of give us a different perspective on that whole idea of using tracks and stems during musical worship in our churches.
I have a level of frustration where nowadays, unlike when Integrity Hosanna came out in the 80s, now we do have multi-tracks. So really now every church in theory can sound like the latest, Hillsong Young and Free or Bethel or Elevation, Vertical, you name it. And I really dislike that. I dislike it so much because I think that churches, if they're not careful, they can become like a jukebox. It's like you just set up your jukebox. It's like karaoke. It's like karaoke worship. We might as well have cassette tracks. Now we're playing along with them, but it doesn't sound any different. So we're using tracks, but we're using them very subtly. And I've used click for many years. But I tend to use the really auxiliary parts. If I were to need a bass player, at times in the past I've utilized multi-tracks for that. But typically, whatever I have on the stage is what I have. So if it's two guitars and I don't have a bass player, typically then I'll try to use a cajon or a box or something like that, because I'd rather have it be live and spontaneous. And I want it to sound unique. And throughout my years of leading worship, I've kind of really leaned into trying to almost never do the same song the same way twice anyways. Because if it's in the context of where is it landing in this service? Well, if it's landing here, well, we'll do it different. Maybe we'll slow it down or start it different. But I always like there to be elements of surprise. Well, let's see, I've written like 60 songs. Okay, I've done 4 of my own, like church records at least, and other bands I've been in. So even songs I've written, I like them to evolve. Okay, I believe in evolution when it comes to music. So I want even songs I wrote that I love doing to evolve and always be kind of changing. And I think that even if I go see James Taylor or you name it, whatever's the latest greatest band, go see John Mayer or whoever, Justin Bieber, I don't care who you're going to go see. We always like to have them do it just a little bit different in concert. You feel like you got more of your money's worth. If they do it just like the record, well, then it's just like they did at home. But those little surprises where they alter the arrangement, you feel like, yeah, and you notice it, it's super cool. And when we do the same exact arrangement over and over and over again, especially with multi-tracks, to me it takes so much life out of it. So I'm assessing what I have, skill-wise, and I'm assessing, like we have a woman in our church who's really a very good flautist, and she's a retired choir teacher. And she's in her, I shouldn't guess, but I'm thinking she's in her 60s for sure. So I haven't had a flautist in, probably since 2000 maybe. So she plays really well, she has great tone. So I'm trying to figure out how can I utilize her. So I give her guitar parts sometimes. I'll give her guitar hooks. So it's assessing what do we have. I don't have an electric player right now. I don't have an electric guitar player. So in times past, I've gone out and played electric, though I'm not a great electric player. But for now, I'm continuing to play acoustic, and we're just going without electric player, and I don't put them in the multi-tracks. Because to me, to hear electric coming out of the platform when there's no electric player up there just seems, and I hope it's not pride. God forgive me if it's pride. I don't think it is. I think I just want it to be what it is. And I'm sitting here in the room where I lead worship on weekends, so I want it to be true to who we are. And there's an element of me being really wanting my team to feel confident that we don't have to have electric players in order for it to be effective or great. In fact, one of my piano players has struggled because he wants there to be, he feels like he can't play all the parts, or at least the hardest parts. And I'm like, he plays great, you play great, man. I've just said to him on numerous times, we don't need all those tracks. You play great, and what you play will really add to it. So right now that's a cultural shift because the church I'm at had really leaned into utilizing tracks. So we're figuring that out. For a couple of years we did Promise Keeper events, and so back then we called them stems, but they were from the records that we made. And so to me, there was a part of that didn't feel, and we only used them in the fast songs basically. But see, it was our record. So nowadays, for me to take the latest Hillsong Young and Free record and use, again, just all 25 tracks or whatever, it just feels terribly inauthentic. It feels like this is not, it's not even, because let me balance it with this, is that I've been a proponent through the years to say, I don't want to be the musician that's saying, I've got to be true to who I am. I have to be true to who I am. No, I don't have to be true to who I am. Usually that means I want to do musically only what I like. Okay? So I don't want it to be about that. Okay? I want to be willing to do music outside of my own likes or dislikes in order to really serve the congregation well. So, but I look and think, using all of those tracks, in our room seats like 200 people, it just seems overkill to me. That's my instinct. It feels overkill. This is not a room with 8,000 people in it and lights, and it's just, we have a lot of retired people that come to our church. So I want Sunday morning not to blast people back, like just overwhelm them. I want it to be like a breath of fresh air. You know, I realize, I am aware that Sunday mornings are, for the most part, whether it should be this way or not, I just think it is. Sunday morning is, for most of the people who come to our church, the most sacred hour of their week. It's their sacred time. So that's why when people, you know, I used to be confused when I was in my 20s and people would see you in the grocery store and they were shocked to see you. Well, it's not that they're shocked that you go to the grocery store. It's just that they're not used to seeing you there. They're used to seeing you in that sacred place every week. And there's something, you know, again, it's neither right nor wrong, it's just an understanding is good. It's just to know that that's where they're used to seeing you, in that sacred place. That is their place to connect with God each week. So for us, I want that to, musically, if I'm going to help others worship, our music has got to be designed and planned strategically to represent the people that come to our church in rural, northern, beautiful Michigan, right? And the pace of life here is not super fast. It's pretty laid back. We have long, beautiful winters, 4 great seasons. So I want to meet people where they are. And I think that you've got to get your head in the game when it comes to that, musically speaking. I want it to be arranged for people coming in flannel shirts and winter boots. You know, pretty soon we'll put boots on, and we'll have boots on a lot between now and April. Yeah, I think it's so wonderful. So I want to love our people and meet them there.
Now, I know there's probably some people watching this video who are really upset right now because Curt just dissed the whole idea of using tracks and stems. Actually, he didn't. He actually admitted that he, on occasion, does that kind of thing, has done it in the past more regularly. And so I'm not telling you not to do it, all right? But a couple of the things that he shared in there, I think really have a lot of merit. I like the idea of not overwhelming the people in our congregation, but arranging songs into a context that's going to make sense for them, not just doing it how the big band, whoever it might be, does it, but to do it in a setting for our people. And along with that, I really like his idea of doing songs differently depending on where in the service they're going to fall. And that, of course, is going to affect how it's arranged and what instrumentation we're using, which is going to play into this whole multi-track thing. So I want you to just to consider some of these things. I'm not saying to get rid of tracks or to, if you don't use tracks, to start using them. I'm just wanting us to look at this from a different perspective because there aren't a lot of people who are saying this kind of thing today. And I just want us to consider it. So consider some of these things and how it would affect you in your church, in your congregation, and the things that you're currently doing. Maybe it's going to mean that you're going to decide to backpedal a little bit and use less of that, I don't know for sure. And I'm not telling you that you need to do that. I am at least asking you to consider the motivation that you have in using those things and how it's going to affect your people and how it's going to affect the songs that you use in your services.
Brought to you by myworshipleadingcoach.com.
Helping you to be more fully equipped as a worship leader.